Anytime his name is brought up, or simple the word dad or father, it hurts her. She cries. She shakes. And at the end of the day, I don't see why there's a reason for parole.
This case is the poster child for why and how the system is completely broken. He started doing this to his biological daughter at the age of 6. He was sentenced to just 4 years in prison and now up for his second opportunity of parole. It makes no sense. It's insane. On top of it, he has a low risk score. Just wait till you hear and see this hearing. It will blow your mind. I'll unpack it with the details, with the insanity of this at the end.
Good morning, Mr. Ortiz.
Good morning.
My name is Parole Officer Logan. Today is Friday, August 30th, 2024, and this is the hearing of the Connecticut Board of Pardons and Paroles. The following board members are present this morning, and by stating their names on the record, certify they reviewed all statutorily required documents and available for any information in preparation of this hearing.
Good morning, Deborah Smith Palmieri.
Good morning, Mike Pohl.
Good morning, panel member Page.
Good morning.
Please state your name and inmate number for the record.
Angel Ortiz, 430655.
This hearing is being conducted in consideration of the parole application for Angel Ortiz, 40655. He is serving a sentence of 10 years, executed suspended after serving 4 years, followed by 5 years probation, 2 counts of risk of injury to a child. His sex offender registry requirement is unclear. As of today, records reflect a parole eligibility date of April 20th, 2023. There is victim input in this case. There is an offender accountability plan for the offender. It has been reviewed and shows he has completed good intentions, bad choices, voices, and he's currently participating in the CLIP program. Utilizing the statewide collaborative offender risk evaluation system, the offender's overall score falls within the moderate range of risk for recidivism. Utilizing the static 99R, the offender's overall score for sexual offense recidivism falls within the low range. Mr. Ortiz, this is your opportunity to express to the board why you believe you should be granted parole. You may begin.
I have a good opportunity to gain my job back and will get my life back together so I can help me and my family. I want to go to school to decide do my CDL and try to improve myself in life so I can make my child, give my child a better life, not just for her, for me and my family. I want to fix things with my wife and my child once I come out and go to court and tell them how bad I'm sorry for the things I've done and the mistakes I've done. And I learned from my programs that hurting people hurt just don't affect them, it affects the whole family, because now my child can't see her grandmothers, her uncles, cousins, nothing like that. And it hurts me every day. And there's nights that I cry because the pain that it will never go away for the things I've done to my daughter and my wife, and my wife. And since I've been in jail for 2 years, I learned how to love myself. I've been clean, I've been focused, and I know how to be happy with myself in here. So I'm just, hopefully if I get paroled today, I just wish I could start a new life, a new beginning, and move forward in life and become a better man. Not just for me, but for my family and my child. I'm nervous, I just want to fix things with my child. She's my main goal. That I just want her back in my life. I miss her. I miss 6 years of her life. She just graduated 5th grade, and I have to go through a pain that it can never go away. And I just want that to stop. I want to fix things when I go home.
Okay, Mr. Ortiz. Seems like you've covered just about everything. I see you looking down at your notes. Did you get everything?
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. So you were before the panel back in September 2023. And
Yes.
at that time, the panel denied your parole, but wanted you to do some more programs. And you seem to have accomplished that.
Yes.
So we're going to be asking you some questions similar to last time, and then we'll deliberate and make our decision at the end. We also have input from the Office of Victim Services today.
Okay.
All right. So Mr. Pohl will begin with the questions this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Morning, Mr. Ortiz.
Good morning.
So you covered quite a bit in your opening statement. One of the things that you didn't really go too much in depth on is what you learned in institutional-based treatment for problem sexual behavior. And you didn't sign a release for us to have that information. So I want to ask questions regarding what happened, what you learned and such. So when you do admit that what you were accused of, you did, correct?
Yes.
So through treatment, through what you did there, what did you find was reasoning behind it? What are risk factors related to it?
Don't do drugs, don't drink, because you could other personality will come out, like you just back out and don't know what you're doing. And I mean,
Was
I don't.
that
I,
when,
I
was
said,
that the case here?
yeah, I was on. I'm ecstasy pills, and I just didn't realize what I was really doing. Like, I still don't have no memories of me doing stuff like that, but I do take responsibility because I'm the one who was doing drugs, and my daughter been saying that I did. So if she's saying that I did, then it had to be, because a child not gonna lie. So like stuff like me drinking and doing drugs, like that's part of what happened, what made me do that. But I don't ever want to go to that stuff again. So there's people that was in the program with me that I heard stories, and like I don't ever want to make the same mistakes again, or the mistakes other people did in that program. So
So what did you do then related to substance use while you've been incarcerated?
what in here? Well, like taking anything in here?
Okay, so you've identified that one of your risk factors is using, to the point you're blacking out and committing an offense like this, right?
Yes.
So in order to handle that risk, what have you done to put something in place so that that doesn't happen?
Well, I've been going to church. I've been trying to learn myself. I've been like talk to people about about the situation, and my main thing is just stay away from people that do drugs and oh my god, I'm so nervous right now. And just be strong and stay away from the negativity when if I end up going home, and just start a new life. I don't want to make the same. I don't want to do drugs to like hurt people or do anything like that anymore.
Right, but you can't stay away from yourself, and you're somebody that does drugs, right?
I used to.
So what have you put in place so that you don't?
I'm just gonna be around my brothers. My brothers don't do drugs. Stay around people that do good in life, have positivity in their life, and just stay away from the negativity. Stay away from people that don't want to do no good.
Okay.
And stay strong.
So when it comes to substance use, it's really not about strong. Just so that's that's something that concerns me a little bit because, you know, somebody who's got a problem with drugs, it's not about being strong.
I mean,
Right.
if I could get signed with a program like out in the world, then that would be a plus too. But I never been in a situation like this, so I just need a certain help that could like point me in the right direction.
Okay. When it comes to other risk factors related to behavior in this situation, what else did you identify in group besides substance use? Anything?
I know I learned a lot. I just nothing's like I'm like so stuck right now. No, I don't.
Okay. The other piece of this is that you took voices, right?
Yes.
What do you think the impact is on the victim in this case?
That I hurt not just them, I hurt all my family and her family.
But
So
let's just talk about the victim.
the victim.
How did
Yes.
you hurt the victim? Do you have any idea?
No, but I know I hurt my wife and my daughter. Like I failed them as a father and a husband. And I'm sorry, and I want to tell them how sorry I am. Like I really do. Like I want to have the opportunity to talk to my wife and my daughter and tell them how I really feel, so I could like move on, and she could understand where I came from.
But when you were in voices, you really didn't talk about the impact that you would have on your daughter.
We used to watch videos and stuff like that. We never like she never asked me like certain things like that with the whole group. But what I learned is I learned how the victim feels because I feel like what I feel, I know they feel 2 times worse.
Okay. Um, so you've also you haven't received any DRs during this incarceration. You have no other criminal history besides these 2 counts. You want to go? You want to live in Hartford?
Yes.
And you want to go back to where were you at Hartford Distributors?
I was in Bridgeport before.
Okay.
That's why I wanted to go to Hartford to start. I never lived out there, so I wanted to start something new.
So you're looking at a distributor making deliveries like you're making before. Is that where?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't understand that. What you said
So
deliver?
in terms of employment when you're released.
I have a like vehicle to go to work and stuff like that. So I have people that's willing to like support me and help me with like situations like that. Because I have my job wanted to hire me back when I came out. If I came out early, and I have a vehicle to go to work because I work in New Haven.
Okay. All right. That's okay. But you do have opportunities for employment upon release.
Yes.
You know that whether it's on parole or probation, that you're going to have to engage in community-based treatment for problem sexual behavior.
All right.
You know that correctly, correct?
Yes.
and you know that you're going to be limited by not being able to be around children unless you have the permission of your parole officer, right? Or probation officer.
I didn't know that, but
That's
I
part of
would.
that's part of it.
All right.
And so, and I guess the last thing I want to ask, because it was a big piece of your opening statement, you haven't had any contact with the victim or the victim's mother in this case, right?
No, I haven't talked to them over 7 years, 6 years.
So how I where does the hopes come from that you're going to be able to change things there?
Well, I don't know how it's gonna happen, but I know I was gonna come out and get my divorce and stuff like that, and go to family court and see what goes on from there. Because I did my papers, but my wife didn't show up to court, so I have to like do it all over again. So I had to figure that out when I end up going home to go to court and go to family court.
And what happens if they don't want any part of it?
I'm gonna be disappointed and hurt, but I mean, if my child looks for me when she gets older, then that'll be the way I'm gonna have to explain to her like what happened and tell her how deeply I'm sorry. Really up to my child if she wants to talk to me or not. But I know she loves me and she knows I made a mistake.
It's hard to characterize that as a mistake.
Well, I get what you're saying, but I mean, I know I did some bad things, but my daughter knows when I was clean and stuff like that, she knows I was a great father to her to that one point that I lost myself.
Okay. I don't have any further questions, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Pohl. So, Mr. Ortiz, I want to just follow up on a couple of questions that Mr. Pohl had asked you. A few things. So when we talk about the Voices program, we talk about the impact of the crime on the victims, the community, and I get a sense that you understand. I hear your loss for not having any contact with your child, and you really want to see about unification. But think about it in terms of a 6-year-old child who's sexually assaulted. What do you think is the long-term impact of that?
It could be for life, and I damaged her mentally. Like, it's so sad that I don't even understand it. Like how I even did something like that to her. That she have to go live with that for the rest of her life. And it's sad. That's why there's days I just cry every day because I don't understand how this even happened to me. Because I never meant to hurt my child or my wife like that. Because I was I always been a good father, good husband, and I just lost myself in the end.
Yeah. So I do hear that you have considerable remorse for your actions, and in your view of the future, this will never happen again to anyone, and that you are hoping to get your daughter to understand that you are remorseful and at some point reconnect. There's a protective order in place until 2070 that you can have no contact with her. Did you remember that?
I never even heard of that.
Yeah, there's a protective order till December 31st, 2070, that you can have no contact with your daughter. All right. Well, I heard you mention earlier that you would go through the courts, and so you can have no contact with her unless something changes in the courts. And I would think she will most definitely have to be the one to make that adjustment to the protective order. I think it's important for you to hear that, because I heard many, many times, your focus is on reunification with your family, reconnecting with your daughter. And I think it's important, and I'm sure, and I'm hopeful that you learn through the treatment, whether it's through the short-term sex offender treatment program or through Voices, that, that may be a long time coming, or it may never happen. So those are important factors, I think, in terms of your future success in the community, that you understand what that piece, your family piece, could look like. Yeah. So, when an individual, you had done the short-term sex offender treatment program when you were before the board the first time. You had completed it. They were very happy about that. And they wanted you to do a treatment program, an addiction services program. But it looks like you did Voices and Good Intentions, Bad Choices. So it doesn't seem as though you were able to do a tier program. Why is that?
They just started one because the other ones was packed, but they just literally started one probably a couple of days ago.
All right. I mean, I do see that you're a score of a 1 for your drug and alcohol score, which does not help you get into that level of a program. So I do hear you acknowledging your substance abuse prior to being incarcerated. And I hear some plan, and Mr. Pohl was pretty good about explaining to you, that you need to be vigilant about remaining sober in the community. Right. Can you talk a little bit about Good Intentions, Bad Choices? What did you think about that program?
I shouldn't be focusing on the things I want to do. I should be focused on the things I need to do. Should I go to school, get my license CDL, try to be a better person, save my money, try to buy houses, stuff like that. I shouldn't be worried about buying clothes or want to hang out or go out. It made me learn, it changed my thinking of view of what I've been doing in my life. I shouldn't be worrying about the wants. I should be worrying about the needs.
Okay. All right. I think that's very true. I mean, you're 29 years old, so I'm sure there's things you want and things that you need to be doing. And when you think about, what your choices are and how you should be focused, do you think about what your risk factors are in the community in terms of with the short-term sex offender treatment program, identifying those issues to help you remain in the community and be successful and not reoffend?
I just need to stay focused and stay away from people that don't want to see me do good. I said, I don't want to do drugs anymore. I already experienced what happened to me now. I don't want it to happen again.
Okay.
So I have to be around people that wants to do good. Like my brothers got their CDLs. That's a help. I could be with my brothers and my friends, that co-workers. Just stay away from stuff that I don't stay away from stuff I don't need to be around. So I have things where I could get job morning, nights, so I could keep my mind going, so I don't have to be depressed or anything like that.
Yeah. Well, I agree with you. Structure is a very important piece in terms of being successful in the community, having structure to your day, especially when it comes to substance abuse. So you will have, whether you're released to parole or when you go out to probation, you will be required to participate in a treatment program for sexual assaults, for problem sexual behavior. And there'll be a condition that you have no contact with minors. Have you thought about those two things?
And I just heard this stuff now about the being not being around kids or the protecting order, but that's gonna be hard because I got my brother got kids, and you tell me I can't be around my family. That's gonna be hard.
It will be hard. So it's important that you think about that. You know, as time goes on, you know, things may change. You may be able to get permission to go to a family function, but there'll be very specific rules and parameters about how that will occur. Did you talk about that at all in the sex offender treatment program? About being in the community with restrictions?
Um, She probably did, but I didn't know that I had to stay away from kids and stuff like that. That's
Well,
that's something
because
like,
well, if you think about it logically, you know, the victim in your case was only 6 years old. So you will have to sort of prove yourself in the community. That's what it comes to.
no, and I definitely will. I definitely will prove myself to the community and show everybody.
Okay. Okay. All right. Anything else that we should know about what your plans are or what you've learned from the different programs that you've taken?
Click. I've been going to Click. It's a
Okay.
fatherhood program. Like,
Mhm.
I really like that program, but sometimes, like, I feel sad because I can't really talk about my child because I only been with her for those 6 years. And from the beginning, like, I don't know how she is. I don't know how what she looks, or I don't know her personality anymore. So it's like it hurts that people get to talk about the kids and like. But I hear like stuff that I hear from people, and it's like I just wish things could change. Like I like miss being a father. Like I know I made a big mistake, and I just want to change that. Really do. I love my child so much.
I think that's important, and that's important. If you love your child so much, you'll abide by the protective order and the rules in the community, right? The rules that probation and parole may have for you, and what and where you can go and who you can see, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because it's really about the victim and her healing and her being able to move forward.
It's hard, man. That's
If you think it's hard for you, think about how hard it
I
is for the
know.
victim.
I know how I feel is worse for them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So if you want the victim to heal, you'll abide by the protective order and the rules of parole and probation.
Yeah, but for her to heal too, she needs to hear my side of my story too. To let her know that I'm really sorry and explain
Well,
to her about things. So, because if I don't get to talk to her about anything, she's just gonna think that I don't love her, that I hate her, and stuff like this, and I really don't.
well, that's not going to be up to you though.
No, I understand,
Right?
but
So that could be a long way down the road, but you'll have to be patient.
I know.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Ortiz. Panel member Page, do you have any follow-up questions?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Ortiz, I was on your previous panel, and I was one of the members who voted in favor of your early release. And part of the reason why I took that position was because I really didn't think that you were, just through your program participation and the things that we discussed, I really did not think that you gained a clear understanding of the magnitude of the offense that you've committed. And you kept separating yourself from the offense and as if you were on the outside looking in. And I really thought that supervision under the Parole and Community Services, the Special Management Unit, would really help you hone in into why you were doing the things that you did and how you could avoid doing them in the future. And you've participated in additional programs, which I'm happy to hear, but it doesn't really sound to me like you really gained any insight from those programs. And the reason why I say that is because you continue to um, blame substances on your behavior. And we had this discussion before, and I know that you may remember that. And I was telling you about how using these substances may lower your inhibitions, lower your decision making. However, those urges or those thoughts of committing these crimes were already there. And this just, it's almost like the drugs or the alcohol just gives you the okay to kind of do these things. You know what you understand what I'm saying? And I know it's a lot. You struggled when we spoke previously, understanding some of the questions that were asked of you, which just even more solidifies why I wanted you to complete the treatment out in the community, because you just aren't grasping it. You know, it's unfortunate. Honestly, it is, because one day your daughter's going to ask you, Dad, why did you do this to me? You know, of all the people. And here's another scenario for you. Um, if someone had done this to your daughter, I don't think that you would be so forgiving, and I don't think that you would want them to rekindle a relationship with her or even your daughter's mother. Just imagine, she chose to have children with you. She thought she was going to have a family with you, and to think that her intimate partner did this to her child. It's a lot of things to factor in other than just yourself, Mr. Ortiz. And I really do believe still that you need additional treatment in order to get to the underlying issues that you're faced with this offense. And I apologize, Madam Chair, because I really don't think that I asked any questions, but I really just wanted to help you understand, or maybe the victim understand, what my position was previously and what it is today. I just don't think you're getting the help that you need in the facility. I just don't, just based on the questions from my colleagues as well and your responses. So that's it for me. Thank you, Madam Chair, for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you, Panel Member Page. So, Mr. Ortiz, we are now going to hear from the Office of Victim Services. Listen, please do not interrupt.
You may begin with your statement. Hello. I would like to thank the court for letting me speak today. As the mother of the victim and his former spouse, I am speaking today because I feel that there is never enough time that would be justice for what he has done and deserves to serve the full sentencing, even though the full sentencing also was not enough. How can I begin to say how this has impacted us? It changed our whole lives, that we will both carry forever and for generations to come, because this pain and trauma, unfortunately, never stops here. Trust for anyone or anything ever is gone for us both. She's very codependent on me because it's the only place she feels safe, making it hard in daily situations and environments, even just to speak sometimes. We were ripped from everything we knew and had, and a constant search for safety, finding it difficult to have any sort of stability. We constantly move. I had different jobs in order to be able to provide for her alone, but also be there for her and within a close range, because I cannot be too far from her and she can't from me. We are not okay when we are not close, and know that at least if anything happens, I will rush to her and that I will protect her, and only me, because she only has me. She is not able to see any altercations or any sort of physical aggression or confrontations. She gets weary of any males that are present, even other minors, and every little aspect of what they are saying or doing, always in a constant state of defense because of her fear Any real relationships have been tainted because of him and what he did. We both are sometimes accepting being treated wrongly because we familiarize love with hurt, deceit, manipulation, and being degraded. Or that we have to sometimes do something for someone or whatever they say because you love them. We're always looking around our shoulders and paranoid because of what might happen, or if he might come, or his family might come. We're both in therapy. We both have PTSD and always have constant anxieties, attacks, panic attacks. Even her education has been affected and delayed. She's always scared to defend herself, even if someone is physically attacking her, as has happened with other children. She's scared to speak up in any instance for fear of what's going to happen, or if she can't speak because it was told to her by him that she could not. She doesn't understand her body urges and what's going on in her body and why she feels certain things or is attracted to certain things. I caught my 11-year-old watching porn and she instantly began to cry and have an anxiety and panic attack because she said she didn't understand why she's doing it or what's going on, or what's happening. I as well have to live every day with guilt and pain because I was a victim myself, as he knew, as a child, which he used against us in the way that he moved after when I left and she told me what happened. I need more time to prepare her for and tell her that he is now going to be walking around free and that we can run into him in any moment. I need time to let her know that we're going to be okay. I need time to prepare her in general. Anytime his name is brought up, or simple the word dad or father, it hurts her. She cries. She shakes. And at the end of the day, I don't see why there's a reason for parole or to consider him for parole when even after he is to be released, probation, there's already probation set up to monitor him, to get him back into society and as a citizen have his rights. And at the end of the day, he has her protection order. I do not. I have to fight every year to get one for myself in court. And at the end of the day, when they do approve them, a paper, sadly, is just a piece of paper, which he did not respect or follow even when he was out on bail before he was sentenced. He showed up to my job. He sent family members. I got messages. And as a citizen, to be around anyone and be allowed to be around kids, yes, there's a protection order, but we had to drop a charge, and I solely dropped the charge and agreed to a plea deal in order to protect her so she did not have to speak in court and traumatize her further. The only reason we dropped the sexual charge, meaning he is not on the sex offenders list. He will be around kids possibly, and he was around kids and females with other kids when he was out on bail, which was told to me by his family members. He did not care then. He will not care when he comes out. Just like the 8 years of the relationship that we had from when I was 17 to when my child told me 8 years later. He was abusive in many ways besides what he did to our child, because he is her father. And you can't take that away. No sorry is going to fix that. She will live with this for the rest of her life, and everything that she does is going to affect her. And there's really no way to fully heal, or will ever, even as adults. It's hard. Sorry. It's hard to speak. I also would like to say that I was not aware he had a hearing last year. I would have definitely spoke last year as well. I wanted to be on camera today. I was willing to do so. Unfortunately, I had a problem with links and things of the sorts, but I wanted to make sure I was here today because it's unfair and unjust. And I believe he should serve his full term, at least that, because even then it will not be enough.
Are you all set?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much for your statement. Please continue to view. Thank you, panel.
Thank you. And thank you to the victim. I'm sure it's creates a lot of anxiety just coming to the hearing today. She did a wonderful job speaking. We really appreciate her input. Right, now we're going to deliberate. Mr. Ortiz, again, you can listen, but please do not interrupt. Mr. Pohl.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is a rehear. It was heard once before, and I thank the victim for letting us know that it's the last hearing she would have been here if she knew that there was a hearing. The sentence here is 10 suspended after 4 with 5 years of probation. You know, my job is to look at suitability. And when it comes to Mr. Ortiz, he has no criminal background. He rates out as moderate. He does have a sponsor. He has the employment that he had is something that he could do again, go back to. However, looking at all of those factors and making the decision, you know, it comes down to, for me, the victim in this case. The victim in this case has asked for more time. The end of sentence is in April of this coming year, when Mr. Ortiz will go out on probation. And we know that that's a definite time. There is no more, you know, there is no more incarceration after that period. But you know, based upon, you know, the mother of the victim in this case, who is a victim herself, I would not support parole in this case, and I would support the victim's request for additional time to help her child prepare for Mr. Ortiz and his release.
Okay, thank you. I agree with Mr. Pohl. I recognize that Mr. Ortiz has no criminal history. He has no disciplinary reports. He's done a number of programs that we would have wanted him to do. For me, I'm a little bit disappointed that Mr. Ortiz didn't sort of gain the insight that we typically see from individuals who take programs like the Voices program, like the short-term or the long-term sex offender treatment program. no fault of his own, he would definitely have benefited from a tier program. I appreciate that he does have a sponsor and does have employment, but I do think it goes back to offender change. And I do see Mr. Ortiz is wanting to make that change, but he's, in my opinion, is not looking at the big picture and the harm to the victim. That fact that he was not aware that there was a protective order in place until 2070 is a little concerning to me. And there is only 8 months to end a sentence, and I do believe it's an appropriate amount of time to give the victim and the victim's mother time to prepare for that. He will be on probation for 5 years, and there will be conditions associated with that probation for treatment and no contact with the victim, in addition to the protective order. Panel member Page?
I agree.
Okay. Reasons?
The only thing that I have is injury and impact to the victim and victim's family.
You know, I appreciate Mr. Ortiz took the appropriate programs, but I think that we didn't hear the level of change that I would have wanted to hear.
Right. I don't know that based upon his experience, though, I don't know that, and his feelings and what he shared,
Mhm.
I don't know that the change hasn't occurred where he's going to go out and commit this offense again.
Mhm.
I think I heard the level of change
Mhm.
where he really understands what he did was wrong.
Okay.
So, I mean, for me, mother's asked for time, and I really want to give it to her.
Yeah, it's not unreasonable. Panel member Page, your thoughts?
I would not include inadequate evidence of offender change. I would do a nature and circumstance more so than that, and the injury and impact to the victim and the victim's family. As stated previously, he did take the appropriate programs. And I really think that it's more than just his inability to grasp what he's done. I really think it's more, I'm thinking it's some cognitive issues going on. So I could be wrong, but that's my position.
All right. And there'll certainly be additional treatment in the community. So in the matter of Angel Ortiz, inmate 430655, there's a motion to deny parole for the following reasons: nature and circumstance of the current offense, and injury and impact to the victim and the victim's family. Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Ortiz, we were unable to vote you to parole today. We'd like you to use the remaining time of your sentence to continue to prepare for your release.
All right.
This concludes the hearing for April 430655.
Got it.
These are the kind of hearings where you're just left speechless. You're just left absolutely floored, because it's where do you start? It's where do you start? How is it possible that a judge, a DA, they come to the conclusion that allowing this monster to be given a 4-year sentence, his maximum time is 4 years. He is getting out no matter what in October. 5/11/2022 is when he was sentenced. 4/20/2025 is when he gets released. And I guess he had some jail time or credit served or something. His biological daughter was 6 years old. We don't have any other information outside of that. But what we do know is that the DA and the judge felt that 4 years was the best possible deal that they could negotiate. Period. Otherwise, they have to put his daughter on the stand. And it's like, you know, the worst poker players in all of history, it's of course going to be the DA and the judge. They have no idea how to hold them, how to fold them, how to play them. They just make deals because they don't care about children. And you can't believe it either. You know, of course they could have gotten a better deal. They could have played hardball. They could have done, but they don't care. They don't care. You hear the mother come up and God bless her, she left mic drop after mic drop, really just proving everything that we've been saying about how broken the system is. And I'm really happy that she spoke about how she was not notified about his last parole hearing, because how many times have we covered parole hearings in general, but specifically Connecticut parole hearings, where there are no victims that show up. And I come out and say it. I say, I don't believe it. I don't believe that the victim decided not to show up. And I'm not just saying that off of emotion. I'll say it because you can see what the victims say at the court hearings. I'll read to you the statements that they make to the judge. Or we had one scenario where there would have been 16 victims just by the parents of the 8 children, not including the 8 children, assuming they each had a set of parents, and not one showed up. It's impossible. 24 victims and not one wants to speak. I call BS. And we see it right here. And can you imagine? You watch this hearing, you can completely see the cluelessness, the insanity of it. He blames MDMA for what he did to his biological child. Wow. He says, I need to be in her life. I don't know what she looks like. I'm going to get out and be a father again. Are you kidding me? Like, are you kidding me? But what's crazy about this, what's so blatantly insane to all of us, is that he doesn't need to register. He's not considered a sex offender. His charge is risk of injury to a child. You can get that for driving a car without your child wearing seatbelts. It's the same thing. He can go and get a job and work in childcare. He can go and have his uncle, or his brother, who might even be the one who's sponsoring him, bring him into his home where there are children. Huh? How does the DA sleep at night? Yeah, it's insane. It really is. And look at the risk assessment score. I've shown it to you guys a couple of times, but many of you might not have seen it. This is the nationwide. All 50 states collaborate on this 10-point questionnaire to decide whether you're a low risk or a high risk. And here's how it works. The purpose is to have the lowest score possible. So if you have if you have just 1 point, you're considered a low risk. The fewest amount of points you can have is -3, apparently. Now, if you have 2 to 3 points, it's moderate. 4 to 5 is moderate, high, and 6 is high. Now, look how easy it is to get a low risk. So one is, if you are ages 35 to 40, apparently it's a 0. If you're older than 60, all of a sudden you're -3. I mean, you're ahead of the game. You're almost guaranteed right now, if you were over 60 when you got arrested, to be a low risk score. I mean, how does that make sense? I have no idea. We're just sheeple, right? Then, for some reason, this is question number 2. Have you ever lived with a lover for 2 years? If the answer is yes, it's 0. They're not taking into the account that so many of these offenses are coming by them living with someone that they use to stalk their prey. I mean, how is that even a question? Okay, Fine. So according to him, he would be, because he was under the age of 35, I believe, when he committed. Yes, he was under the age of 35. So he would be a 1 right now. So you would say, wow, I mean, there's another 8 questions. Surely whole risk higher than a low risk score. Well, have you had any previous convictions? Well, he hadn't. So he's a 0 again. Have you had any prior non-sexual violence convictions? No, which so many of these offenders don't. Have you had prior sex offenses? No. Now, if you had, by the way, 1 conviction, you would only get a point for that. Okay. Have you had prior sentencing dates? Like really, this is the best? You waste all these questions to come up with this stuff that really could have been answered in 1 question. Okay, no. So he's still a 1 risk score. Any sex convictions for non-contact offenses? No. So no, a 1. Again, so they waste, 5 questions talking about prior offenses. Any unrelated victims? Unrelated. Okay, not related. Any unrelated? No. So he because his victims are only related, he doesn't get a point. Okay. Any stranger victims? No. So he's still at a 0 because it's just his daughter, his biological daughter. Now, finally, any male victims? No. So he has 1 point. 1 point, which makes him a low risk score. I just read for you the insanity that 50 states have all agreed to use this 10-point questionnaire as the assessment Bible. What else to call it? To decide whether or not a sex offender will be a low risk to release back into society or not. If anything, someone created this risk score. If there were PhDs involved in this and not just, like monkeys hopping around on a screen coming up with questions, it would be the PhDs that had to figure out, how can we make a 10-point questionnaire and guarantee that the vast majority will grade out as low? How can we come up with that? That's the product of this, because how it doesn't make sense to anyone who has common sense. This is one of the biggest secrets, I think, that we are all living with as a society in this country. The idea that 50 states collaborate on using this in the DOC, that this is the biggest public secret. I mean, who knows this, right? Who actually understands that this is this assessment that is deciding whether or not someone can be considered a low risk? Who agreed to this? But then shame on, I guess, all of us and all of our leaders for just putting our heads in the sand and pretending it doesn't exist. It's right here. We're all seeing it. It's insane. It's only a matter of time, I think, until someone, the right person, make some noise about this and people look at it and say, holy, no way, this can't be. Yes, it's true. And this is why we do this. And I know some of you say, oh man, dude, this is not, you don't give it, you don't care. This is not why you do this. And all right, there's a lot of reasons why I do this. This is one of them, because this is, I hope that maybe this little channel can bring about some change. It only takes 1 tweet from the right person. Anyways, with that, I'll let you go.
I was not aware he had a hearing last year. I would have definitely spoke last year as well. I wanted to be on camera today. I was willing to do so. Unfortunately, I had a problem with links and things of the sorts, but I wanted to make sure I was here today because it's unfair and unjust. And I believe he should serve his full term, at least that, because even then it will not be enough.